Today I'm going to talk about how to foster open communication with your teenager. I think it's really important as our kids move through this stage in life that they feel that we're a place that they can come to and talk about. There's so much change going on in their own world, physically, emotionally, socially, that having a parent that they can come home to and discuss things with is super important during middle school, high school, young adulthood, because there's so much change going on. So I think one of the ways that we can foster open communication with our kids is to listen more than we talk. But what I mean by that is as they kind of progress into the middle school and certainly in through the high school years, give time and attention and opportunity to your kids to listen to what's on their hearts, and do that in a way that you're not distracted while that's going on. You're not you're really listening with intention. I find the best place for me to have a discussion, especially with my sons during these years, was in the car. Usually, like, you're not looking at each other, but you're kind of in the same space, and they tended to open up a lot when we were in the car. And at bedtime, like when I would say goodnight to them, for whatever reason, they kind of tuned into that time as a space where they could show more of themselves or talk a little bit more freely. So you want to listen as they move through middle school and high school. You want to listen more than you're talking. Doesn't mean you have to agree with everything they say. It just means if you really want to get to know who your kid is, you have to give them the opportunity to share who they are, and do so without constantly, interjecting your own thoughts and feelings. So listen more than you talk, number one. Number two is to ask questions, but do that without a judgmental tone. Again, if we want our kids to open up and talk to us and to really learn, the things that they're struggling with or the things that they're confident in, we have to allow them to ask questions of us when they need to and not come at them with some kind of judgment or critical tone, because the second you do that, the second they will stop coming to you. If they think that they're going to be judged, they're going to tend to clam up for sure. So listen more than you talk, and allow them to ask questions, and do not answer the questions with any kind of judgment. Again, it doesn't mean that you're agreeing with their point of view or that you're getting swayed into something. It's more that you are learning about who your child really is becoming in the world, and learning to appreciate that, even if his or her views are a little bit different than your own. Also, the third thing is share some of your own experience with your kids, especially as they grow up, around things like dating and maybe drug and alcohol use a little bit. I mean, you have to use discretion. I know some parents think that their kids will, if they share that experience, will use that as ammunition to say, well, you did it when you were a kid, kind of thing. And you've got to gauge the relationship with your own child. But I think there's a lot of value in our sharing some of our experience with our kids, especially if there were consequences to the experiences that we had. Not to like put fear into them, like you wouldn't want to, have this happen to you, kind of thing, but rather to let them know that you didn't think there were going to be consequences, and there ended up being consequences, and this is maybe how it affected your path or your journey. So I hope for you these 3 tips helped you, and please let me know if there's any questions that you have about a particular situation and fostering an open communication path with your kids. Thanks.